Okay, so now how do we apply those maps to an actual object? Alright, so let's go in here. And I think I will choose to create a new ball here. So Shift D to duplicate it. Because what I want to do is just apply that normal map and the displacement map to a new ball rather than a conjunctified ball and cheat. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is a new material. Again, new material. And remember, this is a new ball too, so we want to probably rename the ball first. Ball 3. Ball 3. Okay, there we go. Now, new material. New material, new. Unclick nodes, click it, and then go back into your node tree. Okay. Go back in here and choose the new ball, which is going to be ball 3. Now with this type of workflow, I want to use both nodes and non-nodes attributes. And I'll show you why. The non-nodes will have a hard time using the UV structure with this new blender. So I'm going to leave this tree alone and then go down in here and just add my new maps to it. So I'm just going to go, first map's going to be my, let's say color. Let's go color map. Okay, and this one, I'll go add new, and this one's going to be my normal. And this one's going to be my displacement. Just like that. So for the color, I want a map input using the UV. Now, even though I choose this button, it's good to have this up here working for you. Trust me. So let's go to map 2, and I want to map that to color. Okay, let's go back to texture, repeat the process. This time it's a normal map. I want to map input to UV, map to normal, non-color. Okay, back. Displacement's going to be altogether different. Actually, I'm going to choose to unclick this, and I'll show you why later. So, by turning this off, it will not render. Okay, color. So, to load those maps in, it's really easy to do this. Let's say I want to switch over using my texture attribute here and switch over to my color information. Well, my color information can now be loaded into image. I can load it here. And I think I'll choose this red one for the actual image of it. Okay. Okay, let's go back to nodes where I choose a different one. Let's go to normal this time. See, I'm using this to my advantage so I can quickly switch between these. Let's go to image, load. This time it's on the desktop called vid normal. Select image. And click normal map for this one. And let's go to the last one, displacement, where we still have to load it in. Image, load, vid displacement, and select it. Okay, so now there we go. We have the color, which is going to be this one. Okay, and you can see a real-time effect going on here, right? So that's good. Let's go to the material attribute and kind of look at this to see if there's anything missing that we have out. So we got the color attribute. It's being plugged in. So, it's mapped input to the UVs. Normal, mapped to the UVs. Displacement, mapped to the UVs. There we go. Okay, so let's kind of look at this sphere in render mode to kind of look if we're missing anything. Okay, so let's go to view and then camera and just pop this bad boy up here and go render current frame. Voila, it does have everything. But what it's missing is its displacement attributes. Okay. Now the displacement's handled a little bit differently. That's handled going back to its object mode, and I want to add a modifier called displacement. And that's located here. It's ran by a texture called vid displacement. Okay, so that's why I said you really need to know the name of it. And if you mess up, you have to kind of go back, and it's actually called disp, D-I-S-P. And if you have it right, it should look like that. Let's delete this one out of here. Okay, so it's turning in on itself. That's because its strength is all the way at 1, so we don't want that much displacement on it. Also, its UVs are not correct, so I choose UV here. Another thing we need to do is tell Blender to actually divide in render time. Okay, we do that by adding a modifier called subsurf again. And here is where render levels come into effect. So there we go. Now I should be able to see how much strength I need, because right now I think I went a little overboard by turning that down. Okay, so let's go. Render current frame. Yeah, working just fine. Sweet. Now, a thing it does have is a thing called low fidelity. So the fidelity is made up because here, this ball is already deformed a little bit. But if we use a thing like a third-party application to create the displacement map, you get a much higher displacement on it. And you can have a lower and a higher that don't represent the first overall shape. So we're going to be looking at Pixologic ZBrush in order to kind of make a high fidelity map for it. And if I need a lamp, because I notice this scene's a little dark. I'll go in my top view. Just like that. And let's go back into my camera view and give this a little render to see if this works, so we can see it a little bit better on the video. Yeah, see how it's not, it is working, but it's not working really well. So how to bump that up is take the strength up. You can use that. Or you can apply it over to this model too. Okay. There we go. Now, let's see how that works. Don't forget, if you do add it to another model, you also have to do this whole thing again. Displace DISP. Okay, and I'm gonna just go ahead and add another modifier called subsurf, and subsurf the levels to a render level of 4, and then go in here and choose UV, and we'll look at these side by side and kind of look at them, see how they look. So a little bit longer render time now. If you want it to suck in, now here's my high res in the back. It should match that, right? So if you want it to actually suck in a little bit on the mesh, you choose this to be a higher ratio. Same with this one. This one's going to have a higher ratio next to the other one. and then I'll start sucking in the mesh a little bit more. So this is to blow out the mesh, and this is to suck in the mesh, if that makes sense. So you're just going to have to play around with it. It's a little harder when you're baking the textures out using Blender, corresponding to a better fidelity map back in ZBrush. So I don't want to beat the horse too much. Yeah, it's looking a little bit better. Cool. All right, so let's go into ZBrush and kind of look at what's going to change here for us.